Imagine being trapped in a vertical prison where food only goes down, and if you're too slow, you starve. This is not a game, this is not a test. This is the platform, a place where survival depends on the floor you're assigned to. Before we dive into this disturbing story, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications, because the deeper we go, the darker it gets. Now let's begin and see how long a human can stay moral when hunger takes control. The movie begins with a group of chefs preparing a vast variety of dishes, overseen by a supervisor who ensures everything is of the highest possible quality. Then, we move to a man named Goreng, who opens his eyes to find himself inside a prison cell. Across from him sits an old man named Trimagasi, who informs him that they are in a cell on level 48. Goreng is shocked to see a deep, hollow pit in the middle of the cell that extends through many levels above and below. Trimagasi explains that each level has a cell containing 2 prisoners. He reveals that the most important thing in this prison is food. They must eat the leftovers from the prisoners on the levels above them. He mentions that level 48 is actually quite good, at least for this month, because the prisoners are reassigned to different levels every 30 days. Goreng looks down at the lower levels and tries to talk to the prisoners there, but Trimagasi tells him that no one from below or above will answer him. When Goreng asks how many levels there are, Trimagasi says there are many, but he doesn't know the exact number. Goreng realizes Trimagasi knows a lot about the prison and asks how long he's been there, to which Trimagasi replies that it has been many months. Suddenly, a platform descends carrying leftover food. Trimagasi begins to eat rapidly and voraciously. Goreng, however, is repulsed by the sight of the food because he can't wrap his head around eating the scraps of 94 prisoners who ate before him. However, he finds a whole apple among the leftovers and keeps it to eat later. After the platform descends to the level below them, the temperature in the cell begins to rise rapidly. Goreng is confused, but Trimagasi tells him that he is the reason for what's happening. He explains that no prisoner is allowed to keep any food once the platform leaves the cell, which stays for only 2 minutes. He says the administration punishes anyone who hides food by either raising the temperature until the prisoners burn to death or lowering it until they freeze. Goreng quickly throws the apple onto the platform and the temperature returns to normal. Goreng tells Trimagasi why he's in the prison, explaining that he volunteered to stay for 6 months to quit smoking, and in exchange, the administration would give him an accredited certificate to help his career. Goreng also chose to bring a book with him. We learn here that every prisoner is allowed to bring one single item. Trimagasi is surprised that Goreng entered by choice and gets annoyed because Goreng will receive a certificate while he won't. Because of this, he refuses to tell Goreng his own story. At night, Goreng hears a noise coming from the pit. When he goes to check, Trimagasi warns him to stay back. Suddenly, the platform shoots up at an incredible speed toward the top level. The next day, the platform descends again, and Goreng still refuses to eat. After Trimagasi finishes, he tells his story. He saw a TV ad for a high-efficiency knife sharpener and bought it, but later saw an ad for a self-sharpening knife. Feeling cheated, he got angry and threw his TV out the window, but it hit a passerby and killed him. He was given a choice between a mental asylum or this prison, and he chose the prison without hesitation. When Goreng asks again about the levels, Trimagasi says he doesn't know the total, but once spent a month on level 132, where no food reached him at all. Disturbed, Goreng tries to yell to the prisoners above and below to ration the food so it reaches the bottom, but Trimagasi tells him it's useless. Goreng asks Trimagasi what item he chose to bring, and Trimagasi reveals it was the self-sharpening knife. The following day, a female prisoner named Miharu descends on the platform. Goreng tries to help her because she looks injured, but Trimagasi tells him to ignore her. He explains that Miharu travels down through the levels once a month looking for her child, whom the administration took away. He adds that she kills anyone in her cell hoping her child might end up with her the following month. The platform carries Miharu to the level below, where prisoners try to assault her. Goreng screams at them to stop, but Miharu ends up killing them herself. As the month ends, Trimagasi tells Goreng that the administration will release a sedative gas to put them to sleep, and they will wake up on a new level. Goreng wakes up shocked to find himself tied to his bed. Trimagasi is in front of him and tells him they have been moved to level 171. Since no food will ever reach this level, Trimagasi explains that he will have to cut pieces of Goreng's flesh to eat. He says he will do it carefully so Goreng doesn't bleed out, intending to keep him alive as long as possible to feed off him until the month ends. Goreng begs him to stop, suggesting they live on water, but Trimagasi says he is old and his body can't handle it. After a week of starvation, Trimagasi prepares to cut Goreng's leg. Suddenly, Miharu arrives on the platform. She attacks Trimagasi, hits him with a glass bottle and slits his throat. She frees Goreng and hands him Trimagasi's knife. In a frenzy, Goreng stabs Trimagasi until he is dead, then faints. When he wakes up, his leg is bandaged, and Miharu is there. She offers him a piece of Trimagasi's flesh. To survive, Goreng is forced to eat. He thanks Miharu and asks for her child's name, but she remains silent and descends on the platform. As days pass, Goreng continues to eat Trimagasi's body to survive while suffering from hallucinations where Trimagasi's ghost tells him they are the same. When the next month starts, Goreng wakes up on level 33 with a woman named Imagwiri and her dog. Goreng recognizes her as the official who interviewed him before he entered the prison. She reveals she volunteered to help and brought her dog. She claims she didn't know people were dying and thought there were only 200 levels. She believes if everyone eats only what they need, the food will suffice. She rations her own food with her dog and tries to convince the levels below to do the same, but they ignore her. Goreng threatens to defecate on their food unless they listen, which finally forces them to comply. One day, Miharu arrives unconscious on the platform. They take her off and try to help her. That night, Goreng wakes up to find that Miharu has killed Imagwiri's dog. The next day, Miharu leaves on the platform. Imagwiri tells Goreng that Miharu's story about a child is a lie because the prison doesn't allow anyone under 16. She says Miharu is an orphan and a former actress. Imagwiri expresses deep regret for her role in the administration, revealing she has terminal cancer and joined to make a difference. The next month, Goreng wakes up on level 202, realizing there are far more levels than Imagwiri thought. He finds that Imagwiri has taken her own life. Haunted by hallucinations of Trimagasi and Imagwiri, Goreng eventually resorts to eating parts of his book and then Imagwiri's body to survive. The following month, Goreng is moved to level 6. His new cellmate is Baharat, who brought a rope to escape by climbing up. However, the prisoners on level 5 betray him, causing his rope to fall. Goreng saves Baharat from falling into the pit. Goreng convinces Baharat that instead of escaping, they should descend with the platform to enforce a fair distribution of food. He calculates there are about 250 levels and plans to use weapons to force compliance. They break the bed frames to make metal rods. As they descend, they refuse to give food to the top 50 levels because those people have already eaten well. They encounter a wise old man who suggests they send a message to the administration, a luxury dish, a panna cotta, that must remain untouched until it returns to level 0. This would prove the prisoners achieved spontaneous solidarity. They continue their descent, passing level 250 and realizing the prison is much deeper than they thought. They find many dead prisoners. On one level, they see Miharu being attacked by 2 powerful prisoners. Goreng and Baharat intervene. In a brutal fight, Baharat kills one, but they are both severely injured. Miharu is killed. They manage to get back on the platform, holding onto the panna cotta. Finally, the platform reaches level 333. To their shock, they find a young girl hiding under bed. Goreng realizes she is Miharu's daughter. The platform descends further into a dark void. Goreng realizes the child is the true message. Baharat dies from his wounds. Goreng feeds the panna cotta to the starving girl. The next day, Goreng and the girl descend to the very bottom. A hallucination of Trimagasi tells Goreng his journey is over and that the message needs no bearer. Goreng steps off the platform into the darkness, and the girl ascends alone.